So
All
weird.
right, so everyone's back. Mel and Jason, your shit sorted?
Should be.
Oh.
Again, unless it's the company.
Okay. All right, so yeah, we cut off with Reginald walking into the house with Callus and Sildara, kind of noticing you walking into the house. And I think for propriety's sake, Callus sort of like he tries to disengage from Sildara, but she doesn't want to disengage from him, and so he kind of looks to you, Reginald, and has a little this smile on his face, and he sort of just mouths to you like, "Good morning, Reginald," but he doesn't like say it out loud because he doesn't want to disturb Sildara.
I'll just kind of nod at him and put my hand up, kind of like just mouth, take your time, and head into the dining room.
Okay, yeah. And he sort of like smiles as you kind of walk off and you see your friends in the dining room. As they're like, I think like who's finishing like the last piece of bacon? Like who's got it in their mouth right as Reginald walks in?
Syl is fighting someone for it.
Probably
Yeah.
Bellion?
Not there.
Oh.
Yeah, Bellion's on the roof, or he went to go look for a map.
He went to go get his stuff that he allowed them to copy back.
Currently, Oz is sitting there trying to get the bacon from Syl. Only he's in Raven form.
Creature.
Whoa.
That was weird.
What?
Your mic went funky for a sec.
It was like inside your mouth all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Oh, that's strange. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's fine now. You're good. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Just
was
like
only for like a
2
second, but it
words,
was
yeah.
weird.
Well, looking forward to hearing that in the recording. Okay. Yeah, so, Syl is fighting Oz for the last piece of bacon, Reginald, as you walk into the dining room. Yeah, so what's going on?
Alton, if I kill your bird, can you resummon him? She grabs a knife off the table.
No, don't kill Oz. Oz has been doing all this work for us. He deserves bacon.
But I want more.
Then go buy more and I'll cook it.
Stupid bird. She lets go of it.
Okay.
Oz is not a stupid bird. Number one, he's not stupid at all. Number two,
Real question is, can Oz even eat the bacon?
Ravens will eat anything. They're
Is he Jewish?
omnivores.
Oh my god.
I have the world's
this
only
turkey
Jewish
bacon?
imp.
Little imp with a
I mean,
Yarmulke?
yarmulke. I was thinking Hanukkah. Yeah, yarmulke on his head.
The side curls things,
Orthodox Jew, yeah.
sideburn curls.
Oi!
Oh god.
Yeah. The world's only Goya imp. Anyway, so you guys are eating breakfast and there's some banter back and forth, and I think that because Grigwin is eating with you guys at this point, she's come in and had herself a little bit of food, and
I should be noted, I did set some aside for the High Cleric and her poor
Did
abused
they
assistant.
spend the night?
actually, I think by the time you guys wake up, the only one who might have seen them leave is Valem. I think the High Cleric would have probably sought you out, Valem, as you were doing your prayers. I think like as you were doing your prayers, you probably like finished with your prayers. Where would you do your prayers?
Outside in the sun,
Okay.
facing the sunrise.
Yeah, and I think like when you're finished, she's kind of standing there, and Sesk is behind her with his bag of goods. And as you finish, she's standing there, just kind of observing your process. And as you kind of finish up, she says, "I'm sorry, I think it is rude to watch, but it brings me great pleasure to see that you are still in the faith. This is unfortunately not the case for a good many people."
Well, the Thunder's with us regardless of where we go or what we do. So it's up to us to do his word. I thank him for that every day.
This is good. So, what are your plans now? Off to find the giants.
That is the intention, yes. We need to find out what's happening with the ordning. Prevent anything else from occurring.
Indeed. and I am sure that Lathander will show you the way as he always does.
And I want to thank you again for the service that you provided for my friends. I can't thank you enough.
Not yet, but one day I may call upon you.
I'll be here.
Yeah, and she just gives you like a nod, and she kind of like beckons, and Sesk like walks away. And as they're walking away, Sesk kind of turns to like give you like a smile and a wave, and then she kind of like turns and like chides him and like smacks him up like beside like behind the head. And she kind of like gives you a nod and turns, and the two of them like walk off into the distance.
Gotcha.
What is that woman's problem? I want to like her, but
Okay.
She's big on discipline.
Yeah. So the rest of you are in the dining room, and you kind of see Sildara and Callus kind of appear in the frame of the dining room, and they're both wearing like very gentle smiles, and their hands are intertwined. Like Sildara will not let him go, and the two of them walk in and smile, and Sildara says, "Good morning, everyone. Did you leave us anything to eat?"
Celinda just jumps up out of her chair. Father!
Yes. Over there.
Yes, and then like as you're saying that, I think Celinda like crashes into her parents, and the two of them sort of embrace you, Celinda, and Callus says,
Now she's crying.
yeah, and I don't think either of your parents are crying, but like your mother's like stroking your hair, and your father's embracing you. He says, well, I suppose there's quite a bit that needs explaining here, yes?
Yes, but I'm just so glad that you're well again.
Yes, I am. I suppose I am. It's rather fuzzy, my mind. Last I recall, I was on something of a hunting trip. And now I'm home. He said, since you're home, daughter, does this mean that you found a suitable husband?
No.
Yeah, and he kind of like gives you like a gentle smile. He said, still hunting for one then. And he looks around to the rest of the room. He says, good morning to you. I would greet you properly, but I don't know any of your names. He sort of like blinks and looks a little confused. And Sildara says, "Oh, don't worry, dear. I'll introduce you in time. Please, sit. I believe Alton." And she like points to you out, and she said, "He's made us breakfast. He's
And I'm coming over with a plate for each of them, essentially.
Yeah." And he looks, and Callus says, "Well, I'm rather famished, actually. Thank you, Alton. Are you our new chef?"
Probably not for much longer, but it seems to be there for the last few days.
He's
Oh.
been teaching me a lot. I can make scones now.
Oh, right. Well, okay. And your father's like obviously confused, and Sildar says, "No, dear, come sit down. Let's have some breakfast." And like your mother's like doting on him very hard, and like trying to keep calm, and like and she still won't let go of him. Like at all times, like normally like at a table like this, like she would not sit next to him. Like that's not how the seating arrangement would work. But she sits next to
Opposite
him.
ends.
But like she finds two chairs and sits next to him. And he's obviously like looking concerned at her, and like he knows that something's obviously wrong. But so you guys kind of like have a few minutes where the two of them are eating, and Sildar introduces everybody, and Callus says, "This may be a bit gauche at the breakfast table, but I seem to recall going on a hunting trip." He said, shortly after everything sort of blanks out. He said, "I don't remember coming home."
It's probably best. You don't remember.
He said, "I would tend to disagree, daughter. I feel that I won't be whole until I know what happened here. My house is a mess. My darling wife, and he like looks at her and smiles, and she's like trying to smile. He said, "She looks rather worried." Even Grigwin, stoic as she normally is, and she sort of like grins a little at him. Said she seems a bit off. So, who here would like to tell me exactly what's going on? And like he looks around to all of you.
If
And,
no
like-
one else will, I'll
Yeah, and I think Reginald, yeah, he he sees you. He says, "Of course, leave it to an old friend, dear Reginald. It's quite odd, you being here. Not that I mind your company at all." He said, "So, what will you tell me that my daughter won't?"
I will tell you everything as I know it, starting from when Grigwin summoned me here. About I don't actually know how many in-game days have passed, but
I think it's been
Oh.
like a week and a half.
Yeah, maybe close to 2 weeks.
So-
That's yeah.
so a little over a 10-day ago, and I'll just kind of go over the story of learning that he had been accused of us going to try and figure out what was going to happen, to see if there was going to be a trial or a defense, and the watch being very suspicious about where they were holding him, and we believed that there were this was not a genuine crime. It was a targeted attack against the family, and then how we tracked him down to a place where they were selling people as slaves, and we freed him and many other people, and then how he stayed on my vineyard for the rest of the week until now, while we cleared up the legal issues and the threats against the family.
Yeah, and as you're telling him this story, like you can see the blood's kind of draining from his face, and Sildara is looking like increasingly mortified, even though she already knows what happened. And yeah, he's wrapped with attention. He's focused.
I won't tell him what he was accused of, or I'll leave that part out unless he presses it. I'll
Right.
just say he was falsely accused and he was dragged into this plot, and his mind, he was both him and his wife are mentally attacked.
Okay. Do you make any mention of Magnus at all?
I probably would. And it turned out Magnus was behind most of it, and feeling scorned that his son had been turned down by Celinda, and I think he had a bit of his own madness that was driving him to go this far.
Yeah. So I think once you're like finished, kind of explaining everything, I think he asks a couple questions. First, obviously, he asks what he was accused of. Like, what was he being held for?
It's not important, Father.
Daughter, I think we've established at this point that it is of the utmost importance. He said, if I committed a crime,
You didn't.
Your mind was attacked, my friend, and you were made to think you had done things that you had not. Things that are better left unremembered or
Somebody
unthought.
will tell him later.
I
Might as well tell him
I
now.
don't know how I will live if I don't know. If you say I was falsely accused, of course, Reginald, I believe you. But this is all very odd. You have to admit. He said, how were they holding me? Under whose authority? I am, of course, a member of the Parliament. They can't simply hold me somewhere.
They did not bring you back to the city. They did this entirely off of the books. You were taken during your hunt, as far as I can gather. And I don't know what happened to you during that time, but I know in the state we found you, it seemed you had suffered many attacks of the mind. There were creatures that were terrorizing many other slaves, and it seemed you had taken a lot more punishment than they had. So they had kind of been able to fill us in that these were, you know, creatures of terror.
I think the cleric said that it was a curse.
Yeah, and like, you know, your mother the whole time is like trying to soothe your father and like rubbing his shoulders and his back, and but Callus doesn't seem like he wants to let it go. But for the time being, he says, "We're, we're not done with this conversation. Not by a long shot, I'm afraid."
He's going to find out sooner or later. Somebody in town is going to tell him. He might as well hear from us.
He said, "It's a very wise thing you say, my daughter. Now, what happened?"
Well, they said that you had a mistress with you on your hunting trip, and that you murdered her.
Yeah, and your mother.
Mm-hmm.
Conrad, can you mute your mic when you're? I don't know what you're doing. So, yeah, yeah, your mother begins to like she's like you know squeezing her fist in just pure white, and your father is becoming increasingly like enraged, and I didn't. Of course, I've never had a mistress in my life. You can't believe that.
I didn't. No one who ever would know you would believe that. I know you love Mother.
Was someone
Why I didn't
killed?
want to get married.
He said, "Was someone actually killed?"
I honestly don't know. And if you did do it, it was because they forced you to.
He's like, I must find out the truth. If I did this thing, then I deserve to be punished, right?"
No, you don't.
He said, "Who?
If they
Why would
made
they?"
you do it, it was something that they made you do.
He said, "Who would do this to me? What have I done?
It was my fault.
How is
It
it
was
your?"
not just your fault.
No,
You know
it was
that
my fault. I turned down Mordecai. Mm.
but I believe the
They pissed off the
Centarum were
Zentarum.
already here.
Yeah, well, I kind of pissed them off
Yeah,
too.
you just gave them a target, a way in.
Wait, okay. You're saying many things. You killed you. Wait, did you say you killed Mordecai? No.
No,
You said you believe that you turned down Mordecai, and this alone brought down the wrath of some phantom organization. This is madness.
no, it's complicated. I may have killed Magnus as well. Well, I didn't kill him. Ghost killed him.
Yeah, and I think when you say I killed,
And she
and then
just
before you correct yourself, like your mother, like all the blood drains from her face, your father looks like completely stunned.
she just starts word vomiting. She's like, I killed Mordecai, but no, a Ghost killed Mordecai. But Ghost is a Zentarum, and I was in love with Ghost. And then he tried to ask me to marry him, and I told him no, and he took off, and then all this blew up. And it's all my fault.
And I think at this point, Grigwin slams her fist down on the table, and the whole table rattles. And Callus and Sildara look obviously suitably shocked. And Grigwin just yells at the top of her lungs, "Enough!"
She just kind of like curls in on herself a little.
Yeah, and Callus, like for the moment, Callus and Sildara have forgotten to be terrified or angry or anything, seeing Grigwin respond this way. Grigwin says, "There is much explaining that needs done." She says to Sildar and Callus, she says, "Your daughter didn't kill Mordecai, that swine, that elf. I told you he was no good." he was a Zent all along. And unfortunately, your daughter got wrapped up in all of his... She says, this has everything to do with the Zentarum and Magnus. She says, Callus, you remember that bastard Magnus? He tried to bribe you onto his shenanigans. You remember? And like Callus, like at this point, like there's like an odd exchange between Callus and Sildara. And Callus sort of like nods. She says, well, you rejected him, and he was never one for rejection, as you recall. She said, he's been dealt with. This whole thing is over. Now it's time for us to move on. And like everybody, like I imagine that the whole room is basically silent. And Callus and Sildar just look at each other, and they kind of exchange glances with each other, and they look at Grigwin, and then they look at you, Selenda.
Mm-hmm.
Sildara says, I think we have all the pieces, daughter. It's just going to take some time to put them together.
I'm sorry.
It's not entirely your fault. We did send people after you once you ran away, but...
I shouldn't have run away.
And, yeah, and like, I think Sildara just says, that much is obvious, but what's done is done.
I just wanted to have what you and Dad have.
And
Didn't
like,
want to be married
yeah, your
off.
mother like pinches the bridge of her nose. She said, did you honestly believe that our love was always this strong? That I hated him when we first met. And like Callus like pulls back from the chair, like obviously shocked. And she looks at him and she goes, oh dear, stop. You remember you were a fop back then. You couldn't...
Wait, Dad was a fop?
He couldn't dance worth a damn at all. He was 2 left feet. He couldn't cook. I mean, dear God, when we first started dating, he used to rub my horns when we were kissing. It was disturbing. And like Callus is like completely blushed at this point, and he like whispers, and you can hear him. He goes, dear, maybe this isn't... No. She's like, obviously she needs to know. She's like, love like ours isn't found, it's built. This insanity that you think that you're going to go and meet the right person. I mean, she's like, dear God, I don't even know where to begin. And then Callus kind of crosses his arms. He says, it's true, dear. The first time your mother tried to cook for me, and like immediately your mother grabs her hand and like covers your father's mouth, and he begins like, the first time she was in the kitchen, and like your mother is like putting both of her hands over his mouth, and Grigwin at this point has basically begun to laugh.
This explains so much about your cooking skills.
And like he stops talking, and she looks over and she pulls her hands away, and she like lays a kiss on him. And your mother looks back. She says to you, Selenda, darling, I love you, and I understand you need to do what you need to do, but this misguided notion you have that you're going to meet... I mean, admittedly, your taste in men has not been great, but it takes time and work. And then, like, you know, Callus just sort of pipes up. He says, yes, but apparently no amount of time will improve your mother's cooking. And she, like, immediately puts her hands back on his mouth.
It's a good thing you're rich, Father. We can afford a chef.
He laughs. He says, well, I think we've had enough bedlam in this house recently, don't you? I could use something of a vacation. And he looks at Sildar. He says, what do you say to a hunting trip? And she just like gently like laugh at like in a little poking way, like slaps him across the face. And he looks to the rest of you. He says, well, you're welcome to stay as long as you need. I can't say that things are going to be easy here, but You've done me a great service, my family.
Unfortunately, I think we should probably get to Waterdeep very soon.
And
And she
Sildar,
looks over at Valum.
yeah, and Sildara says, "What's in Waterdeep?"
Valum's family.
And business opportunities. You do own a tavern, right, Valum? Or your family?
Oh my god. I mean, it is
Yeah,
technically
there's,
all that Reginald knows, right? So,
there is a bit of information I'd like to talk about in private once we have everyone together.
All right.
okay. Yeah, so you guys kind of finish breakfast, and I think Sildara and Callus actually begin, like with Grigwin's help, begin to like clean the table. And your mother kind of pats you on the hand, Celinda, and she just sort of whispers to you, "Take all the time you need, love. Just don't leave this time without saying goodbye, please."
I won't.
And she has a bunch of dishes in her hand as she begins to walk to the kitchen. So we're left in the moment with Elizabeth or not Elizabeth, sorry, Alden and Celinda and Valum and Reginald. Conrad, are you not in game?
I don't think so.
Show 'em,
Sorry,
man.
I accidentally
Reloading.
pressed the back button on it.
It's okay. All right, so yeah, Reginald and Celinda and Alton and Valum are in the dining room. Bellion, you have gone to Parliament in an attempt to recover your map?
Yeah, remember I gave it to them so they could copy down where like the tower was,
Yeah,
among
but
other
so
things.
yeah,
And
so
I just wanted to get it back.
you arrive, and there are the two young men behind the desk as always, and they kind of look to you, and one says, "Good morning, sir. How can I help you?"
I guess I left some evidence with Asher Hayden that he could make a copy of it, and I was just going through it before I leave town. That's all. There's
Of
a
course,
map.
sir. Unfortunately, Lord Hayden is not in at present. You may return when he is in. I'm sure he's kept good care of whatever you've given him.
Well, I'm leaving as soon as possible, so tell him that he should deliver it to Icewing Manor.
Of course. As soon as he's in, I will let him know.
All right.
And then we cut to Elizabeth and Asher in his place, and I think that like we actually the camera cuts to a like writing desk whereupon that map is sitting. That he's been actually like dutifully like copying it down, and then we can hear the bed sheets rustling and maybe some moans and what have you coming from the bed.
Activity.
Mm-hmm. Some friction in the bed, let's say. So what's happening, Elizabeth? I mean, aside from the obvious.
It's just become another game of sorts. They finish, she gets up, okay, I need to get back. It's no, yes, no. And they're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
To be very
Mhm.
and it's new and it's exciting and she's comfortable, so it makes it a lot easier for her to just kind of, they'll come get me if they need something.
Yeah, and like Asher's not like, like he's not trying to force you in any way to stay. Like he's if you need to go, of course Asher's the kind of guy who would of course let you go. He doesn't want you to go, and he keeps,
But it's that, oh, just one more, oh, I couldn't well, if you insist.
yeah, exactly, right.
Very like teasing.
Yeah, and by this point, I mean the sun has come completely up, and it's probably like 10 o'clock in the morning. The two of you are still at it, and are both of you exhausted, but you're just like pushing through. And so Bellion, do you return back to the manor?
Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of return back to the manor, and everyone's kind of sitting around the dining room table. And what is that? What's going on here? Like as Bellion walks in the door.
Maybe now would be a good time to talk about what's going on, Valum.
Yes, I do have some additional information. I spoke with Alistair about a week ago, and asked him to look in on the events that were transpiring in Waterdeep in reference to my family. I went to visit him yesterday, and he gave me an update on everything that was happening. First and foremost, he told me that Magnus had been murdered in jail, unrelated to that.
Good.
And the way that it was done points to it being our Alton's friend,
Oh, lovely.
for lack of better term.
Oh, bollocks.
But he went on to explain what was happening in Waterdeep. And my family is being held captive by the Zentarum. And there is a man by the name of, I believe you said Alder?
Aldo.
Aldo. Yeah.
Aldo. That has taken over the family's inn, and he is running it in the guise of an actual innkeeper. Basically, they're waiting my return. They're keeping my family captive. They have one of my sisters hidden. They keep the other one in plain sight. I can only imagine as a lure. But I understand that our mission with the Ordning is of great importance, but this is definitely something I'm going to have to try to take care of.
Which way is it?
You have my support fully.
Yeah, it was something that I was hoping I didn't have to drag you guys into. Obviously, I can't ask you guys to do this with me.
You've done so much for me, Valem. Then how could I not?
Well, obviously, I would appreciate the help. But we will need to be smart about this. This isn't something we can just kick the door in and start cracking skulls, because my family is being held.
Mm-hmm.
But that's basically all the information I have at this point.
So you have one is a trap and one is hidden, and the rest of your family, what is going on?
All of them are being held.
So you define where they go. One of us gets the one that is a lord, and the rest all get the other ones. Did you care too much about the inn?
My family is the most important. Material things mean
Very
nothing
well.
to me.
So if a wall went missing and she rode out on horseback, you wouldn't care.
If what?
Don't worry.
Blow up your inn.
Well, if they're being held there, again, we need to be smart about this.
Again, yes.
You tend to have a lack of decorum in most of the things that we've done so far. So
You can get them at the same
Perhaps we-
time.
Perhaps we should just leave Bellium here.
Gregan would love
He's
that.
he's pretty useful.
yeah,
He did save our lives on the road.
Is
He did save your father on the road too.
And again, this isn't
Yes,
something I'm
I'm
taking
just
lightly.
kidding.
So yeah.
well, I'm all for going.
Which way is it?
North.
Yes.
I'm going that way.
Far
anyway,
north.
I suppose.
What about you, Alton? Don't you?
I unfortunately have a job to do. Although you are wonderful companions. And very entertaining.
Hmm. Do you want to make another go of it to try and track your prey down before we leave?
The last we heard of him, he was invisible in the warehouse district. That's very time consuming.
True.
Phelan, do you have any way to locate people or things?
Well, I think if we were to collectively look for him, just based on my understanding, you've only gone out by yourself, or
I went with Elizabeth wherever she is. Ahem.
She's with Asher.
Oh, I know. I was making a joke. Or
Hmm. So perhaps if we did this collectively, we might have a better chance of finding him.
Hopefully, not to mention, I imagine Celinda wants it to have a bit of vengeance.
Yes. That fucker charmed me.
Hmm.
I'm gonna make his fucking brain mush.
Well, don't laugh. He apparently did that to somebody else recently, which is
Hmm.
not good, all things considered, because he's got a very good skill set.
Well, he's going to have a fireball right up his ass when I get a hold of him.
Ow.
Yes, Al.
Okay. So you guys are just like sitting around the table having this conversation for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe half an hour passes. Um, and I think there's a gentle like rapping at the front door. And Grigwen kind of heads for the door. You know, she's kind of out that way anyway. And she opens the door, and there's like a brief exchange, and you can't really hear what's being said. And she sort of you hear the door close, and then Grigwen walks in, and she just looks directly at you, Celinda, and like cocks an eyebrow.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "This is for you,"
Oh,
and it looks like a letter.
okay. She takes it.
Okay. So you guys all see
She's gonna
this.
wait
Like,
to read it.
you what?
She's gonna wait to read it.
Okay.
So, do we go out tonight? Like now?
Waiting is only going to give him more
Canvass
time.
the city. We go now. Canvass the city.
I don't know about the city. Start in the warehouses.
Well, you know what I mean. I'm for it.
It's a big city.
You're really useful. I'd like to help you with this and then have you come with us.
Oh, I'm flattered.
Plus, I want to learn how to make whatever this is.
This is a biscuit.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, add a character. Can I get a ruling?
Sure.
I was only in the presence of this warlock once, and for locate creature, I need to have been within 30 feet of him. Do you recall if I was ever within 30 feet of this guy?
We'll say I don't mind saying here that you were within 30 feet of him.
Okay.
Okay, so are we gonna go canvass the city? Well, the docks, warehouses, wherever.
Yeah, I think once we get into an area where we have a general idea of where he might be located, I might be able to help us out.
Okay.
And just out of curiosity, kind of out of character as well, Alton, like, is there a mechanism by which you would commune with your, I don't want to say it, god, with your creature?
As far as I know, not really, except that's what O's is kind of for. Considering I'm fine, the familiar is but through my patron's magic.
Okay.
He's my pact creature. I made a pact with him, so I'm assuming he has some kind of link.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Okay. So you guys are going to prepare and kind of go to the city and do a little investigation?
Yeah. Well, Sil's gonna go read her letter first. And then prepare.
Okay.
To the warehouses.
Okay, so Celinda goes to read her letter, and you guys like all get armored up and cleaned up and what have you.
I guess while we're waiting too, I'll ask Alton what he's learned so far about where he might be hiding. You know, so
yeah, and I'll relay the story that we heard from the sailors, where we tracked him down to.
Okay. Um, all right. So you kind of relay your stuff. Okay. So you guys like head out. Are you all heading out? And by the way, Elizabeth has not returned. In case anybody's noticed.
Noticed? Yes. Just not sure what to do. I don't know where he lives.
No one does.
Um, yeah. In case like any of you wanted um, to find her or to do anything about that, you know she hasn't returned home.
We don't know where her house, his house is either. So
I
we're
mean,
kind of-
theoretically, it would not be that hard to like ask somebody, but yeah, that's up to you. You don't have to, you don't have to find her. She can take on another
think-
level of exhaustion.
Yeah, I think Syl would just be like, just let her. Just it's the last day they'll be together. Just leave her.
We
Okay.
should probably leave some message for her if she comes back,
True.
so she doesn't think we left without her.
Tell her where we're going, what we're doing. Maybe she'll join us when she gets home. If she
Thanks,
gets
guys. So
home.
considerate.
Okay.
It's something.
So all of you basically, save Elizabeth. You're all heading down to the docks. Is that your plan?
As far as I know.
Going
Heading,
wherever
are we
felt-
splitting up?
Yeah, wherever Alton gave up last time on their search, or
Yeah.
So you guys were kind of down by the warehouse district, which is like adjacent
Yep.
to the docks, basically. All right. So what are you doing? What are you going to do down there?
Check out the local watering hole if we're splitting up. If we're not splitting up, it'd actually be good.
Okay.
Alton, how did you narrow the location down to this area? How do you know this is where he's?
Down at the docks, I met a couple of fellow sailors. One of them, while he was on watch, thought he saw a ghost because it came out of the water and just started dripping, but there was no body. And the last thing our friend did was cast invisibility on himself under the water.
Hmm.
He was quite a ways away from shore, though, and greater invisibility only lasts for 10 minutes.
True. However, it's the best I had. Unless you think it's actually a ghost.
No, I don't think
Perhaps
so.
a sea turtle dragged him in faster.
Perhaps.
He roped together some sea turtles.
Or perhaps he just had
With
another
hair from his
spell.
back.
Could have just cast it again. I really
Okay.
wish I
So
had that
like,
spell.
what's the plan? Like, what's the plan of action here?
Do we want to split up? I don't know if I want to be wandering around the dock area by myself.
probably if we're going to split up in either twos or threes, not individually.
Yeah, I really don't want to be.
Yeah, there's enough of us
No,
to
we-
split up into pairs. So I'd say we go in pairs of two.
Sure.
That works. I know nobody should be alone. He's already proven he can cast charm.
Actually,
some
we
kind.
don't because we
Actually,
don't
we
have
only have
enough.
5. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Beth's not
We
with
don't
us.
have
That local bar
So-
really needs to be checked out.
Okay. So
I think,
how are you splitting up?
I'll go with Alton.
Alrighty then.
Okay. And then are the boys going together? Belly and Valem and Reginald, or is there a different split?
I suppose it's going to be Belly and Valem and Reginald.
Okay. Boys Club. Got it. Okay. All right. So
Are you saying that Alton isn't a boy?
I was gonna say, wait a minute. I think I've just been insulted.
I mean,
He's only half a man.
yes.
You are so getting polymorph.
I think
when
he's
see
just
you.
referencing it's the same group that went out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay though. Yeah.
I'm a rogue.
Okay. So Belly and Valem and Reginald, where are you going?
Well, how is it split up? I mean, are we able to see on the map where we're kind of at?
I mean, I
Or-
kind of pictured, yeah, like the docks you were initially by, like, was down here when you kind of went from Magnus's ship. Was down this way, and then the warehouse district is kind of back here a little bit, just a ways back from the. But I mean, yeah, the docks are pretty long. Like, it would depend on where you wanted to go. But the warehouse district, I wish I could probably draw a line actually. Polygon line. Yeah, I imagine the warehouse district is kind of like just right behind most of the docks. If that helps you.
Okay.
That sounds right.
That's a pretty large area.
It's a big trade city.
Yeah.
Yeah, so bros, where are you going?
Perhaps we should
Mhm.
definitely check out the local watering hole.
It's probably a little too early for.
We're looking for people who work at night, probably the right time.
Yeah, I mean, with a couple of minutes, you could probably find it would be like a bar where people come in after work, working the night shift or what have you, and maybe grab a beer and breakfast before heading to bed.
2 drink maximum, Bellion. We're looking for somebody, not going to a bar.
What the fuck is that noise?
Sounded like a chair moving around with a mouse. I don't know.
Or a mouse,
rat
yeah.
dying.
Yes, there is a mouse. Well, no, there is a rat.
Okay, so yeah, what are you guys doing? Like, where are you going? You're gonna find a bar.
Damn right. And go in and look and see if there's people inside that look to be generally dock workers, sailors, bigger, beefier guys.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's not hard to find at all. The place is pretty packed, but like it's not like an exciting bar at night. Like these guys are just trying to settle in before they head to bed for the day.
And then immediately after go in and look at them and go, did any of you actually see the person that we're looking for?
You actually say that?
Yeah, I look at the other two with me
Oh, okay.
because I realized something. No clue what he looks like. None of us saw him, I don't think.
I think.
Well, I thought we just said that
Yeah, Valen's
I
at
had
least
I had
seen him.
seen him.
Yeah, you were within 30 feet, so you can use locate object.
I was busy dealing with the guy that was surrendering in the bottom of the boat, so I never actually saw the tiefling.
Was also stomping some people with a fist.
Yeah, I mean you were an ape, so obviously you probably don't recall anything.
I'm not that dumb. I'm one of the ape, sadly.
But I'm sure Alton gave us some descriptions of things
Yeah.
when we were.
Tiefling, about this.
Okay.
Tall is relative.
So I think we're just gonna like go around to various tables, I'm guessing, and just be like start chatting people up and be like, hey, did anyone see anything suspicious? Tall hat, tiefling, very strange, red skin. I don't know what skin color was.
Yeah, and I think most of the responses you get are somewhere in line with like, I'm seeing something real weird right now.
Yes, you are. This is true. I'll go fuck myself.
Yeah, and like basically you get nothing. Like people, they've not seen a tiefling. They don't know what the fuck you're talking about. They're just like burying themselves in their food.
I guess I'd also like to put out the word, that we'd be willing to pay after people kind of return. I'm going to say if you hear anything, we'd be willing to pay for any knowledge, any information you have, and kind of put that word out there so it circulates too. That
Yeah, and I think shortly after you do that, like a very small man, probably like 5'4", probably weighs like 110 pounds, kind of comes up to you and he like pokes you like in the chest, like maybe no, pokes you in the back, and you turn around and there's this guy. He's probably like in his like, I don't know, late 20s. Like he just didn't develop properly, and he's this like scrawny little dude. And he's like, yeah, if you're paying, I saw the guy, sure.
what
He's
can you
like
tell
that.
me about him?
You said a tiefling, right? Yeah, tiefling. He had a tail. Skin was the wrong color. Now, money. Come on.
If your information leads to his apprehension, you'll
Oh,
get
come
paid.
on now. That wasn't the deal. I saw a tiefling. Come on, let's go. Pay up.
Yeah,
That's not what I offered.
that's not how that
Information on
works.
where to find him, where he's been,
It's like, well,
who he's talked to.
yeah.
I don't care if you've just seen one. I've seen plenty of tieflings in my life. That's not what we're asking.
He's like, that's some bullshit advertising, man. Bullshit. And he just like turns around and walks away. And like you get a couple other people who offer you some information, and it's like all of the same. It's just people trying to get money for nothing.
Wonderful.
I figured that would be the outcome, but
Yeah.
does anyone look? I want to keep my eye out for anyone that, after kind of noticing, might surreptitiously leave the tavern. As if to go inform someone, hey, someone's looking for you, or
Yeah, sure. Give me a
just to
I
keep my
guess
eye out.
give me a perception check, sure. Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, you don't really catch anything like that. No.
I want to use luck.
Okay.
Damn it!
Really?
No, you
Wow.
don't.
You're like the most
Wow,
unlucky-
wow.
Jesus. That's great. Yeah. So you doubly don't see anything.
How- How close is the magistrate's office from where we're at?
Well, if you're down in the docks, I mean, magistrate's office is in the upper city, so you're quite a ways away.
Okay.
So you guys are doing this. Alton and Selenda, what are you doing? Like, where do you go?
I'm actually looking for a homeless dude.
Yeah. Okay. So I definitely think that there's probably like it would be like a small enclave of what are basically homeless people who live down kind of by the docks, who have basically built kind of like I don't want to say like a floating city, but like they've kind of tied together boats and tied together pieces of wood that basically float to live out on the docks, and they have like these really like shitty makeshift like fishing poles that go into the water to try to catch fish, right? It's like one of the easiest ways you can probably, find food around here. And it's like right down by the docks. And you've probably seen this in your time when you first arrived in the city. And it's like I said, it's kind of like an enclave for some people.
All right then. Walk up to just one of them. Good morning.
Yeah, and like obviously, even in this hour, like they're obviously still drunk. Like you can smell the alcohol, and you're not even sure where they would find booze.
You can always find booze.
True. And like he just like looks up at you and squints, and he's just got this really gray, like dirty, scraggly beard. He's got these massive bushy eyebrows. He's like balding in weird patches on his head. He's like, "What do you want?"
Looking for information. Apparently there's a ghost.
He just like cocks his head. You
That's
want
what the
a
last
ghost?
guy called it. That's what the last guy called it.
He's like, I ain't in the habit of looking for ghosts, friend.
Well, how about a tiefling about tall, probably hangs out with a couple of very, very unpleasant people.
Can Celinda use minor illusion to bring his face up?
Yeah. I mean,
Kind of the way she's seen Bellion do it.
it would be probably a rough approximation. Like it would depend on.
I mean, she's the one that's seen him the most of him and like knows his face the best.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was inside your brain, so yeah. Here, let me just look at the.
He's mad getting inside me.
Create an image. Yeah, I mean, you could probably just create like an image of his face, like of
Yeah,
his
it's
head.
just like she's probably seen Bellion do it because I think Bellion does that pretty often.
She didn't see him do it, but he did do it once. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that for the homeless guy, sure.
Yeah, she's just bring up like a small image of his face.
Okay.
It's this guy.
So a couple things here. As I kind of described, like you're basically on the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because this kind of like island or whatever we want to call it is like really shoddily built with just boats, it just floats right on top of the water. So the water like splashes up. This is a very common thing that happens. If your feet are not in fact like submerged in like an inch of water, right? If your feet are dry at all, it's nothing short of a miracle here. So what happens when you do this, Selena, is the homeless man basically freaks the fuck out. And he points at it and he just begins to scream. And he's like, there's a ghost tiefling right there. And he basically begins to like panic, and his whole body is like lurching, and he's trying to scramble away from you.
Okay, she ends it.
And well, when that happens, he's moving around, and it's moving because everything's kind of floating here. It's like bobbing in the water. And when that happens, some water comes up and splashes up on top of the dock. Now, for you, Selenda, this may be problematic because you're going to get wet and it might ruin your clothes. For Alton, this is a very regular experience, right? You're accustomed to being wet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and
So, but a weird thing happens, Selenda. So you cast this illusion spell, and then this man starts to panic, and then the water kind of splashes up, like the boards kind of go into the water, and some of the water starts creeping up. And Alton, you kind of get this weird, shocking sensation when the water hits you, because right when the water like touches your feet, it doesn't feel like water. It's a very similar sensation to one you've had maybe recently. It feels like less like water and more like ooze
oh crap.
that begins to it somehow like, and I imagine your shoes are basically waterproof. You're a sailor after all. Like they're made of good leather. But it feels like it's not only seeping through your shoes, but it's seeping into your skin. And it's a similar sensation of it crawling up your body. And as this is happening, Selenda, you watch as Alton's whole body basically just stops moving. Like his whole body just locks up.
Okay.
And Alton, you can feel this creeping up through your skin, and you can feel it's like tendrils, like moving around your bones inside your body. It's somewhere between the most terrifying, horrible experience and the most. It's basically painful. Like, your mind it maybe doesn't actually real, but your mind is making it real. So it's starting to hurt as it's creeping up your legs, and it's making its way into your spine, and there it sort of like branches out across your whole body. And the man has basically, the homeless man has backed himself up against like a corner, and he's just like, he's still screaming and looking and like he's trying to catch his breath. A couple of other homeless people have basically like surrounded and are looking at the two of you. And as this happens, Alton, you feel like you can't control your body, you can't move. And you start to feel that tendril as it worms its way through all of your bones up into your arms. And then there's like a spark as it touches the base of your spine. And your whole body instantly, like your head, as you're standing still, your whole head just jerks violently. And Selenda, you're watching as his head just suddenly jerks. And it looks like it jerks too far.
There's a very unpleasant snapping sound.
Yeah, and suddenly, like a whipping sensation, one of your arms just whoosh up. And your other arm is like tied almost to your side. Your face and your arm are pointing in the same direction, and all it's basically pointing approximately, and this is me ballparking, like 15 to 20 degrees northeast. And it's pointing in such a way that it's less pointing straight out from you, like parallel to your body. Your arm is like angled up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so slightly skyward.
Right. And this, Selenda, you're watching this. That as this happens, the homeless man just screams, and a number of the other homeless people are all gasping. Some of them have like fled. And then, almost as soon as it started, Alton, you feel everything sort of drain out of your body, and the water just splashes, and you see like if we had like an external camera, we would see water that's like kind of grayish black begins to drain out of your shoes and back into the bay. And like suddenly you're jerking. I think you basically fall to the ground.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna face plant into the water, the little bit of water we have.
Okay. So Selenda, you see this.
Yeah, she's freaking out a little bit.
Yeah, at this point the homeless man just runs. Like he's just splashing the water, just hauling ass away.
Alton,
Ow.
you okay?
Gurgle, gurgle.
You are determined to scare the crap out of me, aren't you?
Gurgle. Sits up slowly.
I take it that's the way he went?
Hopefully. Ugh.
Well, do you want to go get the rest of the party or just go ourselves?
Nah, if he's actually that way, we should all go the same direction. I hate to taste salt water.
Well, let's go get Phelan and the boys. All right. Are you sure you're okay?
As okay as I get.
Do you want me to go get you? I want to say tea, but probably beer. Do you need a drink?
I'll be okay. It's not the first time I've drank salt water. As long as I don't make a habit of it, I'll be all right.
All right.
Ow. Okay, that way. Where
That
are
looked
they?
Painful.
Yeah, my neck has a really bad crick in it now.
I don't know where they are actually. I
I
don't have sending.
do have sending.
Oh, well, I don't. I have message, which isn't nearly as powerful.
I use sending to tell Reginald that we're going to meet them at the name. I can't remember the name of the bar we went to the previous day. That Elizabeth and I went to, but that's where we're going to meet them.
Okay.
Does Sean remember the name?
I don't think Sean wrote it down. It was something. It was the anchor something. The rusty anchor.
Yeah, something like that. That's why I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone made the rusty trombone joke, so I'm pretty sure it's the rusty
Yeah.
anchor.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you tell them you're going to meet them at the rusty anchor. Reginald
Is that where we
Valeman
are?
and Bellion. No, that's not where you are. You're basically spending your time like not like physically fighting, but trying to push people away from you as they're trying to tell you about this tiefling they saw once. Somebody comes up and tells you a story about how when he was a young lad living out on a farm, there was a circus that came into town, and there he saw tieflings. But they weren't actually tieflings; they were just like humans dressed up like tieflings. But they look like tieflings. Like, I mean, I've never actually seen a tiefling, but I think that's what they look like.
Oh, shut up.
Reginald, money does not buy you everything.
It
No,
doesn't?
apparently not.
It came close, but it's about to buy this man a
Finds
punch
you
in
a
the
lot of
face.
idiots, though.
This is true. If we wanted to, we could use them. No, never mind. Let's go.
Okay, so
Yeah,
are you
so-
guys all meeting up at the rusty anchor?
Yeah, we'll head to the rusty anchor.
I literally almost called it the rusty trombone.
Please do.
If I may,
Sure, please.
I assume by this point somebody's had to call on Asher because there's all this shit to clean up.
Yeah, I mean, by this point it's probably like afternoon already.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think maybe about like 12:30, 1 o'clock. There's like a knocking at Asher's door, and like he absolutely pretends not to hear it. Like it's obvious he hears it, you hear it, but he's like super like pretending it's not happening.
Yeah, and she'll just give him a look. And I think at this point they're so exhausted that it's pretty much just cuddles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
like,
she gives him a look, and this isn't the best way to start my reputation in the city if I'm going to keep you from your job.
well, I mean,
You don't want the mob to drive me out, do you?
and he like looks a little confused. Why would the mob drive you?
A angry mob?
Oh, well, I'm sure it'll be fine. I am.
Celinda's probably had plenty of time with her father at this point, and there are other things we need to do.
Yes, there are. And like he starts like kissing your neck again.
And again, she'll laugh. She doesn't blush anymore. At this point, she's comfortable enough that it's just
Yeah. it's just-
Asher.
and he looks at you. He's like, "All right, you stay here. I'll go answer the door, and I'll be right back."
Asher, seriously this time. I think I'll come back in time. I'll write, because I am literate despite being a farm girl.
Yeah, and he's like,
Because she's bashed on herself enough at this point about
Yeah.
being the farm girl.
yeah, and he just says like, "Well, of course I would write to you as well, but I don't know where to write it." He said, just promise me you'll be safe. And like you're hearing downstairs like more knocking at the door. He's like, you don't have to leave this moment. And like the knocking continues, and he's like, promise me you'll return.
I will.
All right. And like he begins to walk out to go into the door, but he's still butt naked.
Asher?
Yeah, and like he walks out
Asher-
the hall, and then like he hears you and he stops, And like you just hear
Pants,
him,
Asher!
yeah,
Pants!
he just starts to laugh, and he comes back in. He's like, well, I suppose that's one way to answer the door. Yes, of course. And like he grabs a pair of pants, and again, just as with before, just like a lightweight shirt that he can throw on.
Yeah. While he's pulling his clothes on, she's like looking all over. What did you do with mine?
It's like,
He's
well,
wearing them.
yeah,
I don't think he'd fit.
yeah, but he looks around and he just looks at you and smiles and he just shrugs. He's like, well, I suppose it is what it is. And he just like goes to leave the room, like he goes to sort of walking down the hallway.
And she gives like one of those indignant squeaks,
Mhm.
like, and then she just starts not tearing the room apart, but in the sorting and stuff. Does she come across anything interesting while she's looking for her clothes?
I mean,
Out of curiosity,
I don't know if you would have like you would see the map that was described before. I don't know if Elizabeth knows what it is.
she doesn't.
But there
I
is,
was gonna say that, but she doesn't.
She also
know what it
wouldn't be
is.
able to read it all either, so it'd be
Right.
very confusing.
but you do see like he's got notebooks everywhere. He's got like actual physical books and tomes of knowledge, and he does have notebooks and notes that he's written everywhere.
Does she see anything like a journal?
Like a personal journal.
Yeah.
You would what you would find is basically like a detective's journal. Like he keeps an itemized list of when he's investigating, but it's not like, oh, I slept with Elizabeth again and it was one, like that's not what he keeps.
Yeah, no, okay. Seeing that it's of a more personal nature, though, of just the things that he's been working on and things like that, she'll find a quill and just scribble, like, one mystery solved, new adventures to come, wait for me. And then she'll just sign it, She'll probably go EB, scribble it out, and sign her full name.
Okay, sure. All right, yeah. And like he, a couple minutes passes, and you do hear some like from a distance, you hear some talking at the door. He comes back up and sees that you're dressed at this point, and he obviously looks dejected. He says, "Well, you were right again. Unfortunately, there is work to be done." He said, "Apparently, your friend came by my office. Would you mind giving this to him?" And he like goes over to the map and starts rolling it up.
Which friend? But
Oh.
sure.
The weird one.
Bellion, sure.
Sure. Yes.
And she'll plant a kiss on him before he even has the chance to make it
Mhm.
awkward.
Yep. Yeah, and he definitely embraces you, and it takes the two of you a moment to untangle yourselves. And he just looks, and he looks very sad. I'll see you again soon, Elizabeth Volkov. Soon.
Soon.
Yeah, and he gives you a light peck on the cheek and like watches you walk away as we listen to very sad piano music. So you go to leave. Where are you heading? Like what direction?
She'd head to Icewing, get the message, make her way. I'm assuming they said the docks, and
Mhm.
upon not finding them directly, either she doesn't find them in the docks or she runs into one of them. But that's your call.
Okay. Yeah, so I think the others of you have started to assemble. I think Alton and Selenda have probably arrived first. Alton, you're still trying to take the time to regain your bearings.
Oh yeah, I actually leaned on Celinda most of the way here.
Yeah, and there is like a throbbing and a humming at the base of your spine that will not quit. And I think Selenda, you definitely notice that like Alton is at times tripping over himself, like he can't find his footing.
Mhm.
It's getting better the closer, like the more you walk, but it's still unusual. I mean, it almost looks like he's drunk at points, but he's not.
Yeah, she's kind of concerned about him.
Hmm. So the two of you arrive first, and you can kind of find a table, and I definitely think that even at this hour, Captain Burton is still there, Alton. And he sees you kind of from the corner, and he yells to you, and it sounds like he's yelling from a tunnel. You just hear from this great distance, like, "Oh, Alton, man, come on, welcome back. Let's have a seat. Let's have a drink." And like Selenda, you see him beckoning. You have no idea what's going on, of course.
Friend of yours.
Captain, how are you?
Yeah, and he like cocks his head. He's like, "Well, you don't sound too good, boy. You seem like you had too much to drink." He said, "I got just the remedy for you. Barkeep, another round." He
Hair
said,
of the dog.
and you're just like slurring, And he looks to you, Selenda, and he sees you, and he definitely eyes you up, Selenda. And he says to you out, and he goes, "Who's your pretty friend there?" He's like, "Hello, ma'am." And he like stands up, and he puts his hand out as if for you to give him your hand so he can kiss it.
She'll give it to him.
Okay, and he like lays a light, brushes his lips across your knuckles. He says, "It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, ma'am. My name is Burton, Captain Burton, and what may I have the pleasure of calling you?"
I'm Lady Celinda Icewing.
"Well, lady," he said, "may I offer you a seat?" And he like pulls the seat out for you.
Why, thank you. I didn't expect such wonderful manners in a dock tavern.
"Well, now how now, ma'am?" He said, "We are a respectable bunch." "Well, I'm a respectable."
I was gonna say, I think you almost lied,
Yeah,
Captain.
yeah. And he pulls the chair. He says, "Please have a seat." Like he interrupts himself. And I think Alton, like at this point, Selenda like goes to sit, and you have to like reach out to the table to steady yourself.
Yep.
And
Just
at
take
this,
a minute.
yeah, and at this point, Burton looks at you and he scratches his head. You all right, Alton? It's a little early to be that kind of. Looks like you're about 6 sheets to the wind, brother.
I may have made the mistake of pissing off something stronger than me, and it hit me in the head.
He said, "Oh, I've been there. I was with this woman. Oh my God, she was a bit." And then he looks to Selena. He's like, "Well, we're in polite company. Ma'am, I apologize."
No, continue. I want to hear this.
And like he blushes, like, "Nah, ma'am, I don't think that would be appropriate language in front of a lady such as yourself. Please, can I offer you guys something to drink? And like he keeps like looking at you out, and like he's like, "Boy, you look a little gray around the gills."
Don't say anything about gills. All of a sudden, dead serious.
Right. He's like, "Oh, all right, man, all right. I surely do apologize.
Water that doesn't have salt in it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "Don't know why you'd want water with salt," and then like slaps you on the back, and it vibrates all up your spine.
Head on the table. Ugh.
Yeah. He just looks at you, and he looks at Selenda, and he kind of points out and he goes, You do that to him?
No.
Damn, I wouldn't want to meet what did."
I don't think that I would either.
Amen, brother.
"Right. Well, we can get some breakfast. Maybe get something food in you. It might make you feel a bit better. Food around here ain't great, but damn sight better than how you look." And like he kind of waves it over to like one of the servers and like orders some like greasy eggs. Maybe like some bread, like a loaf or two of bread or whatever.
I don't know if greasy eggs is going to be good for someone who's sick.
And he looks to you and he like smiles. He's like, "Greasy eggs will cure any illness, but you believe me, ma'am, I've seen it work miracles."
He is right.
See,
You
I've
think
cooked
so?
more greasy eggs than I'd like to admit.
around our types, eggs precious. Can't take eggs on a boat. See, right? Because a rock into the boat destroys eggs. So,
Mhm.
I mean, other than the hard
Not
boiled
if you
variety,
pack
but
them properly.
exactly right. See, you understand. And so the three of you kind of settle in, and I think a couple minutes later, like Belly and Valem and Reginald, you arrive with Elizabeth, probably like a couple minutes behind them. And you kind of enter, and you see Alton and Selenda and this captain who one of you was is Elizabeth,
This is why I would look here first, presumably.
right? Yeah, you guys kind of come in and you see, and Alton still he doesn't look good, like he looks pretty ill. And you guys kind of walk in, and the place isn't like packed. It's a couple of people have come in for lunch. Burton doesn't seem to have any of his crew with him right now. But you guys all walk in, and what do you do?
I
It's
guess
Greasy
sheepish.
eggs.
I head straight up to the table with that Alton and Celinda are looking at as soon as I see him and say, "So have you guys found anything?" "Alton, you don't look so good."
Yeah, we got something. I wouldn't say we found it, but we got something. I need to eat these eggs.
Yeah, and Captain Burton looks up. "Quite a few friends you have here, a colorful bunch. Any all sailors?"
Somewhat.
Unfortunately, no.
That is unfortunate. And I mean, oh, I could do a thing, but I won't. Yeah, Elizabeth is like, walking up like she's been riding a horse all night. And yeah, Captain
Little
Burton.
dreamy eye.
Oh, well, not only that, but like quite literally, Elizabeth has like bags under her eyes. She's probably moving a little slower than she normally does.
Preening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like her hair is an absolute mess, and she's like brushing it and trying to brush it back, and you probably like settle on a ponytail, realizing that your hair is like
Yeah.
unfixable.
Yep.
And Burton kind of sees you, Elizabeth. He's like, "Well, welcome back, ma'am. It's nice to see you. You friends with this lot?"
Mm-hmm.
It's like you sick too. You look tired. You all right?
I'm wonderful.
And I think
And
like,
Alton,
go ahead.
Alton got a bit of a grin, sits up with a bit of a grin in her mouth. Oh, wonderful now, is it?
Yeah, and I
Or
think
was it?
I think Burton, like the corner of his lips turn up because Burton's a traveled man. He kind of looks at you, Elizabeth, and smiles. He's like, "I can see that you look wonderful, ma'am. You want to have a seat with the rest of us? Look like you could use a little bit of rest."
No. I'm okay.
Yeah,
it
you
sore?
look okay. All right, well, you decide you need a seat. You just let me know.
And she just kind of stands behind Celinda, leaning on the chair.
Okay. Yeah, so out you're kind of eating some greasy eggs and maybe having a beer or two, and all of you guys have now arrived. So are you want to explain to them what happened, or?
Yeah. I didn't know what direction it was, though, so that would be have to. We got a bit of divine inspiration, we'll call it. But Celinda's the one who could actually tell me which way it was.
Yeah, he kind of pointed, and she points that way. I think you said it was east, west, east.
Well, I think
Northeast.
actually, I think that as a
Northeast.
sailor out, and you would have to know cardinal directions.
Oh, yeah, no. I just didn't think I'd be in a good enough place to know which way I had started facing.
Yeah, but I mean, you could reasonably like put together from because you were sailing long enough and like the
Fair.
direction. It was approximately northeast.
Yeah. Northeast and slightly up, which is kind of worrisome.
What are the
This,
closest mountains?
Up?
Direction. Yeah, how far?
Oh, I
I
don't
think
have
I'd-
distance.
Okay.
I got a kick in my neck, but that's about the most of it. And I've got eggs, thanks to Captain Burton, who is a wonderful man who is sorely underappreciated by his crew.
And he like raises a beer. He's like, "Cheers to you, Alton.
Pleasure to meet you, Captain Burton.
It's a pleasure to
He
meet
has
you,
Wonderful manners.
Alton. You got some nice friends. I'll tell you what." He said, any of y'all need a job? You looking for work? I got a boat. Ain't much of one, but he said I could use a bit of a crew."
Where is your crew?
Where
like-
are you headed?
Yeah, like he like pauses. He's like, "Son of a bitch! I knew I was missing something." And like it's obviously a joke, and he just begins to laugh. And he punches you in the shoulder, Alton. He's like, "Yeah, boys, I sent him to work. It's during the day. They're loading up the boat. We're gonna be heading up the coast."
Up the coast, you say? Where to?
He said, "Well, I think we got some deliveries to make." He said, I was heading for Neverwinter, I think." He said, "We'll make a couple stops on the way, of course, see if there's any more work to be taken and any more pleasure to partake in." And he kind of like winks at you, Celinda.
Okay. She just smiles at him.
Would I know enough
Yeah.
about the sword? I imagine sailing the Sword Coast, I'd know which direction all of this is.
Would you be stopping in Waterdeep on the way?
And he looks at you like a little surprised, I guess. Says, "Sir, you can't go up to Sword Coast without stopping at Waterdeep. You crazy?" He said, "I tell you what, they got some nice bars out there." He said, "City don't smell too great, but he said, trade one thing for another. I don't mind, just for a couple days. Like I said, we'd stop, look for work, see if there's anything else need to be shipping up north." He said, "Why, y'all looking for a ride?"
I look around at the table and just kind of think, because I don't know of any other way to travel. I know they teleported here, but Reginald doesn't know that. So,
Mhm.
I think so. We're planning on heading there soon, hopefully. if we can find this
How's
quarry
that
of
going?
ours.
Bellion?
Only if it is north.
Yeah, he goes. His eyes go wide, Reginald, when you're saying you're looking for a trip north. He's like, so what you're saying is y'all are looking for work. Oh, what a beautiful day this turned out to be. I tell you. Oh, my God, this is time for celebration. So we need another round.
I wouldn't make much of a sailor.
Oh, you underestimate exactly how useful you could be, lady.
Hmm?
Yeah, and Burton looks at you and he winks and he's got like an actual, like, genuine smile on his face. He says, don't worry, baby. I'll put you to work.
I do not do that kind of work.
He said, "Hey, come on now. You can tell." He said, this is your friend, all right? Captain Burton, your friend. I ain't, come on. I ain't saying that kind of thing. You're a fine lady. Every ship needs a fine lady. You need kind of a trinket, a jewel of the ship, you know? I think you could play that role mighty fine.
And the more he talks behind Celinda, the higher Beth's eyebrow arches at him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, uh-huh. Falling back into that protective of Celinda reversal, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Big sis and little sis.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, he just says, he's like, listen, I wouldn't mind the help. I mean, y'all seem like a good, strong bunch. He said, I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. Shipping can be dangerous. There are pirates about, as my good friend Alton here knows. Right, Alton? You've seen your fair share.
More than.
Well, I may have a more expedient way back to Waterdeep, so we will keep you in mind.
Oh, I'm gonna keep you in mind too, baby.
And here I thought you had such good manners.
He said, oh, I was just being friendly. I apologize. You're right, lady. You are a fine, upstanding woman, and I have disrespected you. How may I earn your trust and your favor back?
It's fine.
I will make it.
amuses
I will
me.
make it a personal mission. He said, because I cannot stand. And he like puts his hand to his chest like he's making a pledge. He's like, I swear upon the sails of my ship, the tides coming in, the full moon. I swear that I will earn your favor back, lady.
He's worse than Alistair.
No, he's honest, actually.
Is he? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Burton's kind of looking around. He's like, Alan, you look to be feeling better, man. I see what I say, lady. Look at them greasy eggs every time.
They certainly didn't hurt.
Well, good luck with them coming out the other end.
And Burton looks at you, Celinda, like his mouth is agape. See, I knew I liked you. And so you guys
half
kind
the
of.
time she's a lady, half the time she's not. It's very confusing.
And Beth slowly catches up on the conversation and then kind of looks around. Wait, why are we going back to Waterdeep?
Oh, right. You weren't there. We'll tell you later.
I'm not, sure?
It's private.
Now,
Some people-
just as a mechanical point of interest here, not that I'm not trying to sway you guys, whatever you want to do, but Alton, you would obviously know that Waterdeep is at least very slightly northwest
Yes.
by technicality, so you know that that's not necessarily where you're supposed to go, but north is north, so whatever you want to do, I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah, I've got no idea how far north I have to go is the problem, so.
Mhm. I know. So what's the plan?
Do you think he's still in the city?
I don't know.
Was
What
that
I do know is that we have something to discuss in private. We should do that first. So, Captain, while you are an undoubtedly amazing host, we must take our leave.
Yeah, and he just like looks like, oh, so soon. He said, Alan, you're breaking my heart here, man. He said, I'm gonna find a way to get you working on my ship. You understand now, right? You have a future working for old Captain Burton. Working with old Captain Burton.
How soon are you planning on leaving port?
Well, I got a couple more days, maybe. I mean, I'd like to leave tomorrow, but my lazy ass crew, I tell you. He said, you know of any good like laborers? These punks, I swear, they just don't know the work, good work. Hard work, you know that.
Yes, actually. We met a man named Kendrick recently who was very helpful in looking for work.
Yeah, he's a good worker. I mean, he's just the one, though, right? I mean,
He did, a couple of
I don't
them.
know.
They're very
I
helpful.
thought they were guards.
No, they were just heading to the city.
Hmm.
We didn't really ask what they did.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
okay. Well, like I said, you come find me tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can hold out maybe 2 days at the latest.
If we need
Well-
a ride, I will let you know, but you've already seen my tricks. If we don't, I'll also let you know if we find another way. This way you're not holding up on your crew and losing business for us.
That's mighty respectful of you, Alton. I knew I liked you. And he like stands up and like reaches down to give you a good firm handshake.
I return it as best I can, considering his hand encompasses mine.
Yeah, but it's still respectful. It's not like he doesn't make a show of it. Like he just shakes your hand. Okay, so like he sees you guys off, obviously disappointed. You're not going to stay with him, but it is what it is. So where are you headed?
Well, we may as well finish investigating the city by
At least
following,
direction, yeah.
through the northeast.
Question. Alton,
Yes,
when you pointed, was there any buildings in the way?
there was lots of buildings in the way. It's Baldur's Gate.
I'm
You
assuming
know
at
what
this
I meant.
That being said, I was going to ask, can we get a dot where Selenda and I were on the map vaguely so I know where our starting point is to go northeast and up?
Yeah, I think so.
I meant more as like, is there any buildings that were in the way as you're pointing up, or are you kind of pointing over them? Like, are you pointing in the frickin' sky where someone might be flying or something? Or
Is there any areas with a higher elevation up north that we would know of either?
I mean, I think you guys maybe were. It's up to you, really, but I think you'd be about there, perhaps.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right.
I'm assuming somebody filled Beth in.
Well,
While we
yeah, I
were
mean, Asher
walking,
did, but that's
talking.
not the point.
Not
Oh
filled her,
my.
period, filled her in.
But bump.
Yeah, there's too much city to go through all that. And let's face it, it's been
Well-
days. If he was actually here, and if he did what we think he didn't stay.
Probably.
But this is more or less where you were headed, right? This
Yeah.
arrow.
I mean, it can't hurt.
Well, why
A
don't we
little
try headed in that direction?
And isn't that Upper City?
Mm-hmm.
Right there? Yeah? Which is up higher elevation than the rest of Lower City?
Mm-hmm.
So is he in the upper city?
We maybe should head back there.
It's all things considered, you need to say goodbye to your parents anyway.
And we can't get in there without you. And I'm gonna look at Alton.
Oh, sure we can. We just can't do it legal like.
True.
So I'm assuming we're heading back to Upper City. And on the walk, I would presume the rest of the party lets Beth know why we're heading back to Waterdeep.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go send O's ahead of me looking for the tiefling in question in the upper city just because he flies faster than we walk.
I'd probably just keep my eye out on the walk.
How long would it
for,
take us?
Anyone
walk from
suspicious?
I mean, to walk all the way to like the northeast corner of the city is probably a couple hours. I mean, especially from the lower city.
Hmm.
I mean, it's only like the city's only like a mile on the. I think that's what it says.
yeah, that's a 1 mile marker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can walk along. I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm not saying we shouldn't explore the entire Yeah, at least give it a once over before we go anywhere. But if we got to go to water, you have pressing matters in Waterdeep. My quarry
Yeah.
is likely escaped, and it might be related anyway, considering. But we need to fill Elizabeth in with that once we have a little bit more privacy. I don't think you want that broadcast.
And we can't leave immediately anyway, so
I do want to spend a little time with my parents. But I'm fine with leaving in the morning or tomorrow afternoon, whichever.
Okay. So you guys are gonna head up into the upper city, and you're just kind of like looking around, and out, and you're sending O's up ahead. Is O's invisible in his imp form?
Invisible in his imp form, absolutely.
This is maybe a stupid question because I haven't really looked into it. Can you see him when he's invisible, or do you like get a sense of where he is or what he's doing when he's invisible? Like, how does that work?
If I had to take a guess, I'd have a vague idea just because we do have a familiar bond, but I don't think I'd know exactly where. I could gesture in what direction he's currently in if he wasn't right next to me. But I can also take action to see through him. So
yeah, if you
I'm
see
looking
through
for
him, maybe you
eyes.
could see his hands, his little imp hands, or his little.
It'd probably be like, I mean, they can talk, so it'd be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm over here, idiot."
Yeah, I imagine I get that. I imagine I get a lot of back
But
talk
yeah,
from
it's-
those.
I mean, you're probably not able to see him. He's invisible. I mean, you can't see invisible either. So, but he can tell you where he is.
So I think what happens is as you guys are, I'm going to drop my book. As you're kind of walking through the city, and out, and you're kind of intermittently like talking to O's, and O's is sort of like talking your ear off. And I imagine O's gets distracted a lot of the time. So like as he's like flying through the city, he's like, "Oh, boss, listen, there's ice cream. We could go get ice cream." He said, "Oh, they have this like meat stuff. It's like meat on a stick." He said, "Come on, boss, come on."
O's, if you find the guy, I will happily buy you meat on a stick.
And like he obviously is like he's dejected, like, "Oh, come on, boss." And like he flies away like all dejected with his like arms and legs just limp, like flying away.
You should be thankful I let you get the bacon from Celinda this morning.
He said, "That was pretty good bacon, boss." He said, "That was good. We could get that now." He said, I feel like I'd work a lot harder with more bacon."
You ate the last of the bacon. You had the very last bit of bacon.
And like there's like a sharp gasp, and you just hear him go, "There's no more bacon?"
Not that I know
Bacon
of.
strip commercial.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was kind of the joke. But he's like, "You mean there's no more bacon in the whole world? That was it?"
No, there's more bacon in the world. There's just no more bacon for you unless we find this guy.
And like when you say there's more bacon, like you hear like a, "Oh, phew," and then you say there's no more bacon for you guys. "Oh, God." He's like, "As long as there's more bacon," and he like flies off. And I think there's a moment when, excuse me, you guys are kind of up in the upper city and you're sort of just like milling about. And I think you get kind of a message from Oz, or you get maybe like it's like a picture in your mind, and you kind of see from like just very briefly, it looks like Oz is sitting on the wall, on like the northeastern wall, maybe like up here. And you see, like, he's not saying anything, but he's just like staring off into the distance, like in the direction, like the northerly to easterly direction.
What'd you find, O's?
He's like, "I don't know, boss. I mean, big boss. Big boss is saying," and he just sort of like whips his hand out that way.
All right, so out of the city.
That's what I think, boss. We're not gonna leave without more bacon, though, right?
I will see if I can find you bacon. You did good. Come back.
He said, "All right, boss," and he like flies on back. Okay, so you guys kind of what's next? You going back to the manor?
Might as well if he's not in town.
Yeah, he's not in town.
So, Celinda, you said you had faster means of travel?
I may. I have a friend in the lower city. You might have met him. Stoner boy.
You definitely met him, Reginald.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably seen a teleportation circle as well.
He was an idiot.
That man is in charge of a teleportation circle?
Yes.
I don't know if you would have seen it because I imagine first of all that like when it's definitely not in use, like he maybe puts a rug over it, and it's like a total stoner
Okay.
rug, like it's like falling apart. And also, like the room is so often filled with smoke, you can't see anything anyway.
Yeah.
She's definitely not going to mention this until they're back in the manor.
Sure.
But yes, it's not something. Well, you shouldn't tell anybody. It's for personal use only. But I might be able to.
That man is in charge of a telephone. I'm still just trying to
Yes,
wrap
I
my head around
know.
like,
It's hard to.
those things are.
I can't even use teleportation circle.
I am with you. I do not understand it either.
You would be surprised at just how often people who should not have power have power.
We've seen that often enough in the
We're not
city.
even allowed to have them.
I am
At
not
all.
sure. All I
Big
know
talk.
for sure. I know for sure that teleportation goes to Everland. But I'm pretty sure it also goes other places as well. So I might be able to talk him into helping us.
Well, are you sure about that? That they go in other places because don't they?
Well, he
single
did
bridge?
say he sent the witness off to other places. Remember?
Yes, he
So I'm
sent
pretty
them,
sure he can send us other places.
or did he send them to an intermediary? Where did you come from?
I came from Everland to that. But just if we do go, just
What is
you've got to
Everland?
keep a secret
From who?
from everyone.
Don't
Great, I
talk
don't
about
know
it outside this
anyone.
group.
From anyone.
Reginald, do we know anyone?
But
Sorry.
yes,
What's going on?
we're discussing the teleportation circle.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify.
But really, teleportation circle, and he's high all the time.
Yes. But that's not important. I can talk to him about it.
What if he puts you in a wall?
It's fine. We'll talk to him tomorrow. I imagine by now it's getting kind of dark, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah, it's probably early evening, like 6 o'clock. The sun is just beginning to begin to set.
In all seriousness,
So-
I'm going to run out and buy bacon.
Okay.
So are we leaving now or in the morning?
Probably tomorrow.
Like when tomorrow?
Well,
She wants to know how much time she has with Asher.
Depends how often you're going to get distracted.
well,
Well, if I know I'm on a. She's gonna look at Celinda and ignore Alton.
I do need to make a small trip before we go as well. I need to go back to the halls of whatever.
well,
Parliament.
I have to go talk to my friend at Circle. And I do want a little bit of time with my parents. So maybe in the afternoon.
I need to get something back soon, so yes, that is fine.
Okay.
So
Something I left with the person that you were doing thing.
Mel,
was-
he's trying to
Oh,
remind you. that-
right. Yeah. He digs into a bag. This. He said, "Give this to you. That you would stop by the office."
It's immediately snatched like the most valuable thing in the world.
Hey, jeez. It's fine.
Sorry, but when you're very far from home and that's the only thing that you have, I own everything. Everything I own is in my bag. So I'm a little protective about that.
And I should point out to you, Bellion, that as I imagine you're kind of like looking over the thing to make sure that it's okay.
Oh yeah.
And I think in that process, you definitely find like on the back of it, there's like a little note scribbled onto the map. And it says, be thinking of you. Come back to me soon.
Oh dear God.
XOXO Asher.
I'll be seeing you soon.
Actually, no, it says
Come
XOXO,
back.
just A period. It doesn't write out Asher, but yeah.
I just look at her and go, I'll be thinking of you. Hope to see you soon. A.
And she just kind of blinks slowly, blushes, looks at Celinda. So be home by noon?
Please.
And Beth will just give another side eye to Bellion before leaving.
I don't even want to know. I'm going back on the roof.
And she'll
There's
head to his office.
Oh, up on the roof. I used to go there when I was a child.
That is nice. That's where I'm going to sleep again.
There's a nice little nook in the southwest corner.
With the pigeons, I know.
Mm,
The flapping
there
wings. It was very annoying.
mm. I used to hide there all the time from Dad.
Okay.
Okay. So you guys like return all together to the manor, and you're kind of like having this conversation. And as you enter the manor, I think immediately you look in and you see, and I think I described this before. Hopefully I did. That before the sitting room, it was like someone had put like sheets over the furniture for protection and over the tables, and those had never really been removed.
Mhm.
And what you see is like the sitting room, everything has been uncovered. The furniture has been moved. It looks like the room has been like properly cleaned. Some of the rugs on the floor have been moved, and the hardwood underneath has been looks like it's been cleaned. But there you actually see Callus sitting there, and Grigwin is like over in the dining room with Sildar, and you see they have like ledgers out in front of them on the table, and Callus is actually in the sitting room, and there's a young woman. I think she's probably, yeah, she's a halfling woman, and she's like sitting on her knees to give herself some height on one of the chairs, and Callus just appears to be talking to her. She's wearing something of a uniform. You can't immediately tell like what it is. And Callus kind of makes eye contact with you guys as you come in, and he just smiles. And the halfling kind of turns, and she's got this bright smile on her face. And then Callus goes right back to talking to her, and you hear from the dining room, Celinda, your mother just says, she just like, I don't know how to make this sound, but it's just like a ch, hey. Like, and she's like beckoning you into the dining room.
She follows.
Okay, so you go into the dining room, and you see, like I said, your mother and Grigwin have this like ledger, and they're like making notations in this book. She's like, don't bother your father. He's rather busy right now. She's like, welcome home. We're going to be having dinner soon. She's like, will you be home?
Yes,
Good, and all of your friends, they'll be staying as well.
probably. Except maybe for Reginald, he'll probably go.
Oh, I wouldn't mind staying for dinner.
Yeah, and
Well,
and,
for
and like
dinner,
when
yes,
when
but-
when you say that to Linda, like Sildar stands up, Reginald, and she takes your hands in hers. She said, Reginald, and she like laughs at herself. She says, Reggie, you must stay. I insist. There's no possibility I'm going to let you go home to eat. After all that you've done, our friendship has been renewed. I can't let you leave.
I would be honored to. It has been quite a time, and I am.
You're not cooking, are you, Mother?
And she just looks at you and she gives you like a little evil grin. She said, "No, if you must know, your father's interviewing a new chef. She said to
Oh,
be
good.
She said to be one of the best in the city. A little small for my liking, but apparently her work is outstanding. So she'll be cooking for us. It's sort of an audition."
I'm slightly offended.
Oh dear, Alton, I'm very sorry. But you said you weren't staying, and
I'm joking, madam. I'm joking.
and she laughs and blushes. I don't know if I'll ever get used to your sense of humor, but I'm sure I'll miss it. She said,
Meyer.
All you halflings have such quick little tongues.
"Oh my God, what?"
Alton goes to make the first response that comes to mind, looks at Celinda's mother, and just winks.
Yeah, and Sildar like looks like she doesn't get the joke, and then it settles in, and like she wants to laugh, and then doesn't, and then like lets loose like a little giggle, and you
So
just
Someone realizes what she just says and just freaking bust out laughing.
yeah, and you just hear Grigwin make that snort like of course we're making stupid sexy puns, like all right. And Sildara kind of looks to all of you. She said, "Well, I'm going to need you to clean up. You look a frightful mess. Some of you stink like salt water. I'm sorry to be so rude, but were you bathing in the ocean?"
Kind of.
Unintentionally.
Oh, well, yes. The bath is of course available to all of you.
Much appreciated.
I'll go bathe in my room.
Whatever you need, dear. Just do hurry. The dinner should be ready soon, in a couple hours, I expect. Hour and a half, maybe. I don't know.
All right.
Okay, so you guys are you all? Is anybody not like gonna sit for dinner or like?
I'm cleaning up for dinner. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I'll have dinner with.
I'll stay for dinner, and then I'll chat with Callus once he's done interviewing the halfling and she starts to cook.
Mm-hmm.
And tell him too that he should talk to Asher Hayden
And when you
if he
say
ever
that,
has any more questions.
when you say that, he laughs. He said, "It's odd that you should mention that, friend. I invited him to dinner." He said, "Apparently, Sildar said he was of infinite use, extremely supportive of Selenda. I invited him over."
Oh well, that is excellent. I he may be indisposed. I'm not sure, but he was quite helpful in this, clearing all this mess up. And he is a good man serving on the magistrate, which there are too few of these days.
Yes, indeed. He said, "You and I have quite a bit of work to do in that parliament, it seems. But I did hear something from Sildar. You gave up your seat. I seem to have forgotten that in my absence."
Yes, it is time that, the life of politics never sat with me well anyway.
He said, "Nor I, friend, but I suppose someone has to do it. Of course, I don't have a son to take over, but," he said, "I respect that you do, and I hope your son's doing good work."
He's a smart lad. I think he'll do well.
Your stock is
Smarter
sure
than
to be
me,
good,
anyway.
friend, of course. He said, "I think dinner's to be ready soon. If we should probably set up, or I don't know. Hopefully, Sildar doesn't do more yelling today." Okay, so you're having this conversation. Is anyone else doing anything? Like Elizabeth, are you staying for dinner?
She ran off already when they were on the way back.
She'll be
To,
back.
She
to
didn't
go to
even make it
she
back
went,
to the house.
yeah,
She'll be back.
Okay, so you went to Asher's.
she went to his office, but along the way she stopped at a tailor to get an evening gown.
Okay. So
That's
yeah,
expensive.
Like, hey, I'm trying to do the noble thing. See if you still like it.
sure. Okay.
So she probably drops, I don't know, 30 gold or whatever is reasonable.
I mean, yeah, for an evening gown, I was gonna say I would go less than that, but yeah, if you want to drop
Okay, yeah.
30 gold, that's
Well,
fine.
she also needs the shoes, the hair done,
Oh, okay, sure, yeah, you're going all out. So yeah, 30 gold seems appropriate.
and just shows up at his office.
Okay, yeah. And I think with the men are there, the two young men, and like normally on any given night, Asher would be there. But as you walk in, are you actually properly dressed already?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and the two of them, like immediately, as soon as you enter, they both stand up. And the one young man looks at you, "My lady, how may I be of assistance to you? Would you like a seat?" And he comes running out from behind the desk to try to grab you a chair.
I was wondering if Lord Hayden was still in his office.
"Oh, no, I'm afraid he left. Said something about an evening to remember. I don't. He went home, I believe. I don't know what his plans were. He seemed awfully excited."
And she'll just kind of nod. Thank you. And turn and leave.
Okay.
Should be noted she got flats, not heels, because she knows better.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so you go to leave. Where are you headed?
His home.
Okay, sure. So you head in the direction of his brownstone, and it doesn't take you long to get there. You're sort of learning how to navigate the city, so especially in your
And I know a few shortcuts now.
You do, exactly. So as you approach, you see you go and knock on his door, presumably, unless you just try to walk in.
Oh no, she'd knock. She's
Okay. And you are noticing, like, as you pass through the city, like, you're definitely being noticed. A number of, like, young men are nodding at you and doing that thing young men do. They're, like, blustering in the street. And so you go to his door and you knock, and you hear from, like, what you now know is upstairs. You hear him say, "Be right down. Just a moment, please. Just a moment." And there's a pause, and you hear the footfalls coming down the stairs. And the door just opens, and there you see Asher, who is wearing. Did someone
Sorry.
just pass out?
No, that was
Sorry,
me.
Alton got another message from his patron.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah. So he opens the door, and he's wearing what is effectively like his high uniform, his dress uniform. Um, he's got pins and ribbons just covering his jacket. He's wearing a very clean, well knotted ascot, and it's this, like, the uniform basically, but it's like a deep silver color. And he looks like he's still got shaving cream like on his face, and he looks and opens the door, and
and she just smiles at him.
yeah, and
There's a blush to her cheek because she's not sure how she looks. Like she has no way to gauge her own look.
yeah, and he looks stunned, and he's just standing there staring at you.
I tried to go to your office, but you'd already left.
Yes, I am. And like he puts his hand on his chest, like he's having trouble breathing. I was invited to dinner at the Icewing Manor. I thought, I forgot how to think.
And she'll kind of reach up and just kind of swipe some of the shaving cream. Well, if you finish getting ready, maybe I can escort you there.
Oh, yes, of course, my lady, please. And like he stands to the side, and he like takes you by the hand to escort you into his house.
Yeah, and she steps in, and she's still, because it's not her boots, she's a little, she's even careful, daintily stepping in the flats.
Yeah, and he just looks you up and down again. Oh my. He said, I'm afraid you've made a grievous mistake. You thought that I was going to let you leave earlier. Oh dear. I think it best that you stay here. I would love to invite you upstairs, but I fear that, and you well know, we won't go to dinner. So I'm going
And she nods slowly.
I will finish cleaning my face. Would you like a drink? A glass of wine?
Save that for dinner.
Of course, my lady, of course. I'll be but a moment, please. And like he runs up the stairs, and he like trips, and like one of his knees like bangs off the steps.
And she does that flinch thing, but she's just she's kind of chewing on her thumbnail.
Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, he doesn't even look back, and he just like keeps going, just bolts up the stairs. And like a couple minutes passes, you hear him like rushing around. You probably hear him like throwing books around trying to find stuff. And a couple minutes, probably like 5 minutes passes, and he comes like running out to the top of the stairs, and he like just looks at you again, like from the top of the stairs, like breathes like heavily, and starts trying, like he's got his hand on the rail as he's walking down the stairs. It's like, shall we go, my lady?
And she'll hold out her hand, as she's seen Celinda do, I presume, at least once or twice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sure. Yeah, so he takes you by the hand and he walks you to the door. He opens the door for you. He said, if you wish, I can call a carriage. I wouldn't want you to ruin your dress or your hair or your legs or... And he's just like looking you up and down.
I think the carriage would have the same concerns as if I had joined you upstairs earlier.
Oh, yes. And like it hadn't even dawned on him. And so his eyes go wide. He's like...
And she blushes because her mind did go there.
Right. And he looks and he gives you a little sly smile. He's like, maybe on the way home then.
And she just kind of nods.
Okay, so the two of you begin like walking to Icewing Manor, and it's a nice it's a nice easy walk. There's a bit of a breeze. You know, you can smell the ocean coming from the east, and the two of you head to Icewing Manor. Um, in this time that this is happening, what is everyone else doing to prepare for dinner?
Probably taking a bath.
Okay,
Taking a bath, cleaning my clothes, using
Prestidigitation.
that.
okay. And I do think though, Alton, for you, while you're in the bath, even though this isn't salt water, as soon as you put your foot into the bath, like it's not the same sensation, but it's like a reminder of that sensation.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Valem, are you doing anything for dinner?
Valem is never very vocal. He just doesn't really talk to people a lot, but he's been stone faced pretty much. He's kind of off on his own.
Okay. Bellion.
That he never really went inside, just kind of went back up to the roof to go find where Selenda mentioned.
Okay. Looking for the northeast corner of the house.
With
So-
little nook, yeah. He's gonna check it out. See if that's where the pigeons are. And when they're not there, you're just gonna chill there. He's gonna like just sit there and like go through his things and
Okay.
sharpen his weapon, things like that. Just
Drink his stolen wine.
not yet, not yet. It's brandy and wine. He still one of each. Remember?
Oh, you bastard! You got the brandy.
Goddamn
It's
right. I did.
expensive.
Gotta get 'em
Okay.
both.
And last but not least, Reginald. You're having this conversation with Callus. Is there anything else you would do?
No, I'm probably. I mean, I guess I'd wash my face at some point and hands, but probably still well dressed and.
Okay. All right. So I think as the sun is setting, Elizabeth and Asher arrive at the manor. I think you hear a knock at the door, and I think like Grigwin has even put on some decent clothes. And Sildar and Callus, of course, have gone like to the nines. Like they're trying to return to some semblance of normalcy here. And like who hears the knocking at the door? Like
Say Celinda maybe coming down the stairs dressed.
Okay. Yeah, so you're coming down the stairs, and I think Grigwin kind of beats you to the door, and she goes over and like looks through the curtain, and I think she kind of looks back at you, Celinda, a little bit, and there's like an obvious grin on her face, and she turns back, like she's grinning at you, and she turns back and opens the door all the way up, like all the way wide, and there you see before, like, do you recognize Elizabeth?
I don't know. Probably not at first.
Yeah, like you recognize Asher, but there's like
I mean,
a strange blonde
like,
woman attached to his
Yeah,
arm.
like at first, like just glance, probably not. Like, what the fuck is that? And then, like maybe looking closer, it's like, no.
And she just like bites her lip when she looks at you. And that's
Really?
probably what gives it away.
And I think Grigwin, like as she's holding the door open, and this is something that you haven't seen her do in maybe years, Celinda. I think Reginald, you recognize the action of it, but as she opens the door, and Asher and Elizabeth, you're standing outside the door. I think maybe Elizabeth, do you try to go inside?
No, because she's like eye locked with Celinda, and like I didn't mean for you to see this.
Yeah, and I think Grigwin basically yells out in like a very formal tone. You just hear her say, "The Lord and Lady Hayden." And like you hear chairs back up in the dining room, like somebody's like going to stand
You're
up.
married now.
Well, like Grigwin is just again
Everyone's fucking with Beth.
some
Dude,
semblance.
that's like a legal ceremony in some states here in the U.S.
So yeah, so Asher kind of nods, and the two like he escorts you inside, Elizabeth, and like Callus and Sildara come out from like the dining room, like again fully dressed, and immediately Callus comes over and he like shakes Asher's hand, and he's like like greeting a friend. And I think Sildara, like in fashion, Elizabeth, Sildara walks over to you because the men meet the men, the women meet the women. So Sildara walks over to you and she puts her hand like on your upper arm, and she just looks you in the eye and she says, "You look absolutely beautiful, Elizabeth."
She really does.
And again, just kind of blush and nod. And, thanks.
She said, "No, thank you for coming. I'm glad you received our invitation." And she's like smiling with a little grin and a twinkle in her eye because she knows like Asher received the invitation, but she gets it.
Yeah, and Beth had no idea she has no idea what's going on, and then to be announced like that, she's still kind of reeling.
Yeah, and I think Sildara's going to try to like take you and kind of help to calm you down. Like she's obviously accustomed to this sort of stuff. And yeah, so Callus, I think Reginald, like maybe you get involved, and you and Asher and Reginald, or you, Asher and Callus, start having like a conversation.
And Callus doesn't officially know Beth at all.
This is true, yeah. He probably knows about you by extension by Sildara, but yeah, he's not met you formally.
Okay.
And Selenda, maybe you go over to kind of talk like as the genders sort of split.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And Beth just blushes harder as you come over.
Well.
Shut up. Why didn't you tell me there was a dinner
You're
tonight?
just nicer than I am. I didn't know about dinner tonight. This is all on my mom.
I just kind of paid the lady at the tailor shop and took a few recommendations. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, whatever tailor you went to, you have got to give me their number and name because they did a good job.
And Beth kind of blinks for a moment. I took a left from the... Like, she has no idea what street she was on. She just knows how she got there from where they were, and she doesn't know where she began from.
When we come back, you're taking me to this place.
That I can do. I don't know street names, but I can probably find it again.
Good.
Wait, when we come back... And she kind of gives Celinda the look of... You, like... The coy, like, you assume I'm coming back. Like,
Aren't
she can
you?
get away with it.
Well, shall we, milady?
At this point, Alton comes downstairs dressed like he always is and sees both of them and goes, "Huh, I'm underdressed."
Scylla's actually dressed pretty simply. She's not gone all crazy.
But it's like maybe like a decent dress, like not like a...
Yeah, I mean, she looks nice, but she's not gone full tilt like her mother and her father have.
Mm-hmm.
Takes a minute, looks down, snaps his fingers, comes full tuxedo instead, walks down the stairs.
That's a neat trick. I want to learn it.
Yay, illusion magic.
Who said anything about illusion?
How did you do it?
Trade secrets, my dear.
You
Also,
damn
did you know that
whore.
technically humans are a beast? Walks out.
And I think like you guys are all kind of like meeting and having that little introduction session or what have you, and the young halfling woman kind of comes out, and she's got like a couple other halflings with her, and they have like platters of food, and she says, "My lords and ladies, dinner is served." And like they walk through into the dining room and begin like pulling the lids off of these plates and what have you. And so Callus sort of like, beckons everybody into the dining room. And there's this fantastic spread out before you. There's like fish, like salmon, there's beef. It's basically like filet. There's like duck breasts. Just all manner of carbs and meat and vegetables, maple drenched carrots.
Oh God, that sounds so good. You're making me hungry.
Yeah. It's about dinner time, so what am I gonna do?
It is, and I haven't had dinner.
Same. So, but yeah, there's just a wide array of food. And I think that as you guys are being seated, there is a knock at the door.
Okay.
And Grigwin, who also, of course, has a seat at the table, like as she's already sitting, she's the one who stands up and heads for the door. And the camera kind of cuts, and we go through the frame of the, from the dining room into the foyer. The door opens wide, and there we see a young man with like a polished wooden cane, wearing what one might think is a suit. It kind of has a slight military cut to it, and his hair, which is normally like unkempt and kind of wild, looks like it's been brushed straight back. And some of the 5 o'clock shadow that he often wears has been shaved off. And we hear from the dining room as Grigwin audibly sighs. And that's where we'll pick up next week.
Sitting next to Asher, Beth kind of goes,